Hello, and welcome to the required training for all security officers in North Carolina, regulated by the Private Protective Services Board, the PPSB. This video is intended to inform you of the requirements for successful employment as an officer, as well as the legal issues facing you in your job. During this presentation, you will have the opportunity for group discussion, as well as question and answer sessions. Your attention to the video is appreciated, and we encourage your participation in the training process. As a security officer, you are required to comply with the standards set by North Carolina General Statute 74C. The Private Protective Services Act states that no private person, firm, association, or corporation shall engage in, perform any services as, or in any way represent or hold itself out as engaging in a private protective services profession or activity in this state without having first complied with the provisions of Chapter 74C. The statute requires companies to be licensed in order to offer contract security services. All employees of that company performing security functions must be registered with PPSB. Employees may receive either an unarmed or armed registration permit. Proprietary security organizations are those who employ security officers regularly and exclusively as employees of that company, business, or department in connection with the business affairs of that employer. Proprietary security organizations are not licensed by PPS. They are not required to register unarmed security officers. However, if they employ any armed security officers, those officers must complete the same training as all other contract security officers of a licensed contract security company. The organization must submit the same registration documentation to PPS. Individual licensees desiring to work in an armed capacity must also obtain an armed registration permit. Licensed private investigators do not need to obtain a security guard and patrol license. They must, however, complete the first 4 hours of the unarmed security officer training and the 20-hour basic PPS firearms training course.
Load them up. Holster, lane 5, one hand and one hand only.
This also includes range qualification on the required courses of fire. Required documentation as well as the completed application must be submitted. Then they will receive an armed registration permit in order to carry a firearm while working as a PPS licensee. Any registered security officer or licensee, including private investigators, desiring to carry a concealed weapon while performing PPS regulated activities must also obtain a concealed carry permit. This can be obtained from the sheriff in their home county and then submitted to PPS in order to receive a concealed carry endorsement on their armed registration permit. Throughout this training presentation, the term security officer is used regularly. Licensees completing the program in order to receive an armed registration permit should recognize and understand that these provisions apply to them as well. To gain a better understanding of Chapter 74C, let's take a closer look at the 3 areas that have a direct impact on your job. 1. The functions of a security officer. 2. The items required from you by the Private Protective Services Board. 3. The minimum standards necessary for registration. Licensed security guard and patrol companies provide security services on a contractual basis for a number of reasons. These can be as preventative measures or in the detection of an actual crime. For example, an officer may have to respond to a call of intrusion, entry, larceny, vandalism, abuse, fire, or trespassing on private property. Also, officers may be responsible for the prevention and detection of any type of unauthorized activity on private property.
So you want to check and see that they're either here for a purpose, and if they're not here for a purpose, we generally like to tell them that it's private property and that they need to move along.
This responsibility extends to the patrons within the organization for which the officer is assigned.
Yes, sir. If you go right around the corner to the right, just keep walking, you walk right into it.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
It is also up to the officer to oversee and maintain the flow or movement of the public. For For instance, if a large venue for sporting or entertainment purposes hosts an event, it is crucial that the people attending are safe and that the premises are secure at all times. Before we move on to the registration requirements of the PPS Board, let's take a moment to review the information you've just learned. Stop the tape and discuss the 4 functions of a security officer. A company is required to register employees within 30 days of employment. The Private Protective Services Board requires that certain items be provided to the board during that time. A set of fingerprints, a photograph for identification as specified on the registration application, a report of criminal record searches from authorities in areas where the employee has lived in the past 48 months, and a signed and completed registration application. The PPS Board will then determine whether an applicant qualifies to receive a pocket registration card. If so, the card remains valid for the registration period, but must later be renewed. During the application period, an unarmed security officer may work with a copy of the application they submitted until receiving their card. An armed security officer may also work with a copy of the application, but must also carry their firearms training certificate. Officers registered in another state may be employed in North Carolina as a security officer after meeting the requirements of Chapter 74C. The PPS director must also give approval. Just as there are requirements for officer registration, there are also those for termination or resignation. Licensees must provide written notification to the PPS Board within 10 days of their departure. An unarmed security officer does not need to return their registration card. However, an armed security officer must return their firearm registration permit within 15 days of ending their employment.
I'm turning in my firearms registration before I joined the police department.
All right, thank you. I'll get this turned in for you in the next 10 days. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
There are some individuals who may not be licensed or registered. Those include sworn court officials, such as probation officers or magistrates, and anyone holding a company police commission. Law enforcement officers of North Carolina cannot be issued a security guard and patrol license, but can be registered as a guard. Before we move on to the standards for registration, let's take a moment to review the information you've just learned. Stop the tape and discuss the 4 items that must be provided to the Private Protective Services Board within 30 days of employment. In order to be registered as a security officer, the following minimum standards apply. You must be at least 18 years old. You must be a U.S. citizen or resident alien. You must be of good moral character. Conviction of any crimes involving illegal use and possession of firearms or controlled substances may jeopardize registration. A conviction means either a plea or a verdict of guilty or a plea of no contest. Conviction of felony assault or violence, burglary, larceny, breaking and entering all put your character into question. The PPS Board also considers any history of narcotics and alcohol abuse as well as traffic violations when applying the standards for registration. Any applicant declared legally incompetent might be dismissed during the process. And finally, any applicant receiving prior revocation or denial from the PPS Board may not meet the minimum requirements. Now let's review the information you've learned. Stop the tape and discuss the 3 minimum standards for registration as a security officer. The Board has the right to delay, deny, or revoke a license, registration, or permit based on a number of reasons. For example, providing false information during the application process for a license, registration, or permit may result in revocation. Impersonating a law enforcement officer or aiding in this scenario comes with serious repercussions. Many other factors weigh into whether registration can be revoked. Committing a crime such as unlawful entry, kidnapping, assault and battery. Providing false representation as an attorney. Taking advantage of the legal system by issuing or providing false knowledge of warrants, summons, court processes, etc. Violating proper usage of firearms. Being judged mentally incompetent. Having been denied a license, permit, or registration previously. Engaging in a private protective services profession without a valid license. Disclosing confidential information.
Hey Vinny, look at this. This is a file we've been watching this woman. She's been cheating on her husband. And all this is on it. You just can't tell anybody you've seen this stuff.
Oh, I won't tell anybody, dude. This is great, but can I take it home?
Sure.
Fraudulently holding yourself out as employed by any other government authority.
How you doing? I'm with Private Protective Services. I'd like to see your registration card.
Can I see your credentials, please?
I left it in the car.
You guys are never without your credentials. I don't think you're with them.
Being of poor moral character. Anyone denied a license or registration or having their license and registration revoked may go through the appeal process with PPS. This process affords the applicant the opportunity of a formal proceeding before the North Carolina Office of Administrative Hearings. This is a hearing where sworn testimony is taken, cross-examination of witnesses is allowed, and documentary evidence is admitted. The judge collects facts and makes recommendations to the PPS board. All of these issues play an important part in the registration process for security officers. Stop the tape and discuss the terms leading to revocation of registration. You should be able to list at least 6 instances in which this could occur. Security officers must follow set requirements for equipment and uniforms if a uniform is worn. There are standards for both military and non-military style uniforms. Security officers wearing military style uniforms must adhere to the following guidelines. A tag or patch must be worn and it must be placed over the left breast pocket of the uniform and on all caps or hats. In addition, it must be distinct in design from those used by law enforcement agencies within the local area of the licensee's operation. A tag or patch reading security guard or security officer must be worn over the right breast pocket. Also, officers must wear a name tag above the tag or patch. As an alternative, you can wear your PPS registration card on your uniform as identification as long as it is clearly visible. Security officers wearing non-military style uniforms must wear a tag with the words security guard or security officer. In order to avoid any confusion, badges, insignias, or patches that have the word police on them must never be worn. It is important to remember that vehicles must not have any words on them either that indicate law enforcement or police on duty. The renewal of your registration card is critical and must be taken care of in a timely manner. There are a few steps you can follow to ensure the process runs smoothly. First, a renewal application form must be submitted to the PPS board at least 30 days prior to the expiration date. Include photographs for identification. A criminal record check must be gathered as well. Lastly, the application fee must be supplied at this time. While waiting for your registration to be renewed, unarmed security officers may continue to work as long as a copy of the submitted application is kept with them at all times. Armed security officers must also keep their firearms training certificate with them while waiting on their registration card. If a card is to be reissued, applicants must submit a registration application form signed by the employer. Again, photographs and the application fee must accompany the form. From this portion of the video, you should have a solid working knowledge for the basic requirements for security officers in the state of North Carolina. The next section of the video will address legal issues for security officers. Before we go on, let's review what you have learned thus far. As a registered security officer, you must be able to perform functions relating to the prevention and detection of crime as outlined earlier in this video. This includes response to calls involving intrusion, entry, larceny, vandalism, abuse, fire, or trespassing on private property.
Charlotte East Security.
This is Alice Brown in building 5801. I need for you to come down here. There's somebody in my office. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Do you think you could come down here as soon as possible?
Yes, ma'am. What suite are you in?
Suite 214.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be right there.
Security officers must also monitor and prevent unauthorized activity on private property and maintain the flow or movement of the public. All of these measures ensure the safety of the public you are protecting. Appropriate materials and information for registration must be provided in a timely manner to the PPS board. These include fingerprints, photographs for identification, criminal record checks, and an application for registration. As mentioned earlier, the PPS board will determine whether or not an application is approved. Minimum requirements for registration must be met. These include 3 key standards. You must be at least 18 years of age. You must be a U.S. citizen or resident alien. You must be of good moral character. You must have a good understanding of the reasons for revocation of registration. Any instances such as narcotics abuse, conviction of a felony, or illegal use of a firearm are taken into consideration during the approval process. Applicants declared legally incompetent might be dismissed during the process, and those with prior revocation from the PPS board may not meet minimum requirements. Another key topic discussed earlier in the video was the protocol regarding uniform and equipment. Security officers wearing military-style uniforms must wear a tag or patch over the left breast pocket, which distinguishes them from local law enforcement officers. A tag or patch reading security guard or security officer must be worn over the right breast pocket. Also, officers should wear a name tag above the tag or patch. Your PPS registration card can be worn as identification. Security officers wearing non-military style uniforms must wear a tag with the words security guard or security officer. Knowledge of registration renewal and fees is important too.
Hey,
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm good.
Got a problem.
Okay.
My ID card expires tomorrow.
Oh.
I'm scheduled to work all day tomorrow and the next day, and some guy just checked it and said it was bad.
They're supposed to be renewed 30 days before they expire.
A renewal application form must be submitted to the PPS board at least 30 days prior to the expiration date. Photographs for identification, criminal record checks, and the application fee must be supplied with the application. Unarmed security officers can continue working as long as a copy of the submitted application form is kept with them at all times. Armed security officers can do the same, but must also carry their firearms training certificate. As a security officer, it is imperative that you meet the standards outlined in this section of the video. These standards have been implemented to ensure that the individuals in the workforce are best suited for this profession. You may now stop the tape for additional discussion time before we begin the next section of the video. Every security officer has a responsibility to perform their job to the best of their ability. In order to do this, it is imperative to have a clear understanding of the legal issues affecting your work. This section of the video is intended to provide you with a comprehensive look at a variety of topics including basic legal definitions and terminology, proper response techniques to a crime in progress, use of force continuum, and circumstances warranting searches. Again, you will have the opportunity for discussion after we review each topic. We encourage your participation as we take a closer look at legal issues for security officers. In determining whether a crime has been committed and what rights are afforded to the person who has committed the crime, it is important to understand the legal terminology associated with your job. Let's take a closer look at some key terms and what they mean. A civil action is brought to enforce, redress, or protect private rights. This consists of actions that are not criminal proceedings, but are lawsuits. Civil liability applies to what is answerable under the law as a result of a civil action. A person's legal rights refer to their individual rights, rights indicative of a contract and those created or recognized by the law. An offense refers to a violation of the criminal law. A crime refers to an offense against society that is forbidden by law. A felony is committing a crime punishable by imprisonment in a state prison or in some cases death. In some cases, a felony is designated so by statute. Misdemeanors refer to all other crimes that are not considered felonies. An infraction is a non-criminal violation of law that is not punishable by imprisonment. An infraction is prosecuted in a criminal court. An admission is an acknowledgement of facts tending to prove guilt of a crime.
Okay, Johnny. Where were you last night at 10 o'clock?
I was in the mall parking lot just hanging around.
It's very interesting, Johnny. You were in the parking lot at 10 o'clock, the exact time that 4 cars had their tires slashed and their windows broken.
I don't know nothing about that. I was there at 10. Even saw those cars. I didn't do anything to those cars.
We have you on a videotape hiding behind the very cars that were damaged.
Yeah, well, I saw those cars were messed up. I went over and looked at the wheels, because I always like to look to those wheels. I wanted to see who made them. While I was looking at the wheels, I noticed the tires were flat. That scared me. I got out of there quick.
Why did you leave in such a hurry, Johnny? You said you didn't have anything to do with those cars.
Yeah, well, I've been in trouble before. I know how it works. I didn't want to get blamed for something I didn't do.
Well, based on the video of you bending down next to the vehicles, we're going to charge you with the crime of damaging the cars.
Jeez. Go ahead, I don't care. I knew y'all'd blame me for something somebody else did. Go ahead.
A confession is a statement admitting or acknowledging all of the facts necessary for a conviction of a crime.
Sure, Johnny, you were there, but you don't know anything about the cars being vandalized. Not a thing.
Yep, that's what I said. Nothing. Don't know anything about no Hondas tore up.
Who said anything about Hondas, Johnny? I said there were 4 cars vandalized. Didn't mention any make.
You know, man, it's always Hondas they mess with. Always.
Who messes with?
I don't know. Gangs, kids, somebody.
Fine, Johnny. We have a surveillance tape, and we're going to look at it here shortly. You want to watch it with me?
What tape?
The mall parking lot tape. It shows us everything.
Oh, man. All right, I did it. These guys been harassing me and my lady. Just did it to keep them off me. You know, kind of like send them a message.
What kind of message might that be?
Nothing, man. Never mind, okay? I admit I tore up the 4 cars last night. Slashed a few tires, broke a few windows. I did it, okay? I did it. Nothing more than messed up a few POS cars.
No, that wasn't too hard, was it, Johnny?
Damn, man. It's just playing. You guys are so serious.
Before we discuss general types of crime, stop the tape and discuss the 10 legal terms and their definitions. To be effective as a security officer, you must have a clear understanding of the types of crimes individuals commit. Arson is the intentional damaging of property by fire or explosion. Assault refers to the intent to use force or the actual use of force and violence to injure another person. It is often associated with battery, which is the unlawful physical touching of another person.
Caroline.
That'll teach you, bitch.
When a person enters a building without permission, this is considered breaking and entering. A breach of peace refers to a violation of public tranquility and order.
Police, please!
This differs from disorderly conduct, which is an intentionally caused public disturbance.
Is he like
Texas. He's
is he like king down there?
king.
They all knew.
it's
Where did you come from?
sus, man.
Have you been staying here this whole time?
Yeah.
I'm Rebecca. Nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, it's Amy back O'Brien.
Shit. Great fucking son. Hey! Come here for a minute. What do you think?
Dude, all right, calm down there.
Give me a beer.
That's my bushes,
Oh,
man.
Jesus, guy, what's your problem?
Give me a beer. Come on.
Just calm down.
Relax. Come on. Give me a beer.
We don't have any more beer.
settle down.
Take it easy.
Why don't you come with me and we'll go get a beer?
How about a warm glass of shut the f*** up, buddy? Get the hell out of here. What's your problem?
Here, let me have yours. Let me have yours.
Oh, hey, this guy's he's a maniac.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my God!
God,
whoa,
relax.
Oh my God!
Jeez. Oh my God.
Burglary is committed when someone has entered a house at night with the intent to commit any felony or larceny.
Can you sing that song, Trey? Do you know that one?
No, it's
Can you sing it?
I don't hear that. I said I.
Police.
Larceny involves the taking of personal property without the consent of its owner and with the intent to deprive the owner of its use permanently. Stealing is the common term for larceny. Concealing merchandise is considered stealing. For example, if a person is in a store and conceals merchandise without having paid for it, they are guilty of stealing. Robbery, also considered stealing, involves violence or intimidation.
I hope this phone is what I want. Hope it does the job.
I think it will.
Okay?
Good evening. I'll be right with you.
And thanks for your help.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
You have a nice day.
I hope you do. Thank you
care.
so much. Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
I need you to open the register now. Open the register now. Give me all the money. Move! Give it up. Come on, now, hurry. Get it! Where's the safe? Where's the safe?
Other types of crimes include homicide, the killing of another human being. There are two types of homicide. The first is manslaughter, which is the killing of a human being without malice. The second is murder, which is the killing of a human being with malice.
A pre-dawn walk was disrupted this morning when a local man and his dog made a grisly discovery at the edge of the woods. Police were dispatched to the scene and found the remains of a middle-aged white male buried in a shallow grave. The remains were wrapped in a canvas tarp bound by bungee cords. Homicide is suspected, but actual cause of death will be determined by the local coroner. This is Marty Jones, WKIL, reporting from the scene.
Another serious crime is rape, unlawful sexual intercourse by force. Anyone obstructing, opposing, or trying to prevent a law enforcement officer from performing his duty is guilty of resisting a law enforcement officer.
Step 4 Cobra in 10 1420.
Hi, how you doing today?
Fine.
Officer Gilmore, the Chapel Police Department. The reason I pulled you over is a little swerving.
Oh, yeah.
You got anything to drink today?
No.
None at all?
Nothing.
I smell a pretty strong odor coming from you.
Well, I was, around people who've been drinking.
Really? Okay, well, you got your driver's license on you?
Not with me right now. Somewhere in here, I think.
It's somewhere in your vehicle?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay, well, we'll find that in a minute. You mind just stepping out of the car for me real fast? We'll step out here to the front. Is that all right with you?
Okay.
Okay. We'll just step right out here to the front. Just close your door so I get hit by a car. Put your hands on top of your head, interlock your fingers for me, and spread your feet wide as they can go. All right, just stay like that. You don't have any guns, knives, bombs, grenades, or anything like that on you, do you?
No.
Okay. Let me just pat you down real fast, just for my safety. Do the other side. All right, what I want you to do is just place your right hand behind your back and place you under arrest for DWI.
A person found trespassing has unlawfully entered or remains on the premises without authorization.
Can I help you, sir?
No, I'm just here waiting on a friend of mine.
Okay. Who's your friend?
Bill.
Bill, what's his last name, sir?
I don't remember his last name. I'm just here waiting on Bill.
Okay. Sir, this is private property, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave, please.
Okay, I'm cool, man. I'll leave.
Thank you, sir.
If you confront the trespasser and he attempts to leave the property, you should not detain unless other grounds for detention exist at the time.
Can I help you, sir?
No, I'm just here waiting on a friend.
Okay, who's your friend, sir?
Bill.
You have a last name for Bill?
I don't remember his last name. I'm just here waiting on Bill.
Okay. Sir, this is private property. I'm going to have to detain you. You're not allowed to leave until police come.
No, I'm not going to stay.
You're on private property and you're trespassing.
I don't want to stay.
Sir, you cannot leave. Yeah, this is Captain White. I'm going to need a car over lot number 7 to assist me immediately.
Take a few moments to discuss the types of crimes you've just learned about. You should be able to identify all 11 main types of crimes. Understanding the level of authority you possess as a security officer is critical in the performance of your job. Security officers may not arrest another person unless requested to do so by a law enforcement officer. Under North Carolina law, you may detain a person if you have a reason to believe certain crimes were committed in your presence. Always be aware of your company's policy regarding detainment and comply with its policies at all times. For example, a felony or breach of peace warrants detainment. Also, a crime involving physical injury to another person, theft, or destruction of property falls into this category. There are two main points to remember from this information. An officer must have seen the crime being committed, or the crime occurred so soon before the officer arrived on the scene that no other conclusion can be made.
Excuse me, sir. You mind following me to the security office? 115 the base. Call PPD. Got 1086.
Once detained, the person may not leave the property or the officer's presence. Security officers are required to follow guidelines when detaining a person. If a person surrenders to a security officer, the officer must immediately notify law enforcement. Detention of a person must be made in a reasonable manner, and the security officer should use their best judgment in doing so. A person may no longer be detained if it is determined that no offense was committed. Once the person is surrendered to a law enforcement officer, the period of detention is considered over. The detention of a minor is handled differently to avoid civil liability.
Okay, now the way this works is that you're banned from them all from surrounding properties for 5 years. It means you can't come on the property, okay? All right, we need to get your parents' phone number so I can have them come pick you up.
Gotta call my parents?
Gotta call your parents because you're mine.
The security officer must make a reasonable effort to contact the parent or guardian of the minor. Anyone under the age of 18 is considered a minor. Let's review the information covered so far regarding detention. Keep in mind the information you've just learned and how it applies to the types of crimes individuals commit.
Can you detain an arson suspect? Stop the tape and discuss.
Caroline. That'll teach you, bitch.
Can you detain an assault suspect? Stop the tape and discuss. Can you detain for breaking and entering? Stop the tape and discuss. Can you detain for breach of peace? Stop the tape and discuss.
Is he like a
Texas. He's
is he like king down there?
king.
They all knew.
It's so
Have you been standing here this whole time?
Yep.
I'm Rebecca. Nice to meet
Oh yeah, it's Amy, Becca, O'Brien.
Shit. Great son. Hey! Come here for a minute. What do you think?
Dude, this guy. All right, calm down there.
Give me a beer.
That's my bushes, man.
Oh my gosh, give me a beer.
Jesus, guy, what's your problem?
Give me a beer. Come on.
Just calm down.
Relax. Come on. Give me a beer.
We don't have any more beer.
Settle down. Take it easy. Why don't you come with me and we'll go get a beer?
How about a warm glass of shut the up, buddy? Get the hell out of here. What's your problem?
Here, let me have yours. Let me have yours.
Oh, hey, this guy's he's a maniac.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my God!
God, whoa, relax.
Oh my God!
Jeez. Oh my God.
Can you detain for disorderly conduct? Stop the tape and discuss.
Can you sing that song, Trey? Do you know that one?
No, it's pink.
Can you sing it?
I don't hear that. I said I.
Police.
Can you detain a burglary suspect? Stop the tape and discuss. Can you detain a larceny suspect? Stop the tape and discuss. Can you detain a shoplifter? Stop the tape and discuss.
I hope this phone is what I want. Hope it does the job.
I think it will.
Okay?
Good evening. I'll be right with you.
And thanks for your help.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
You have a nice day.
I hope you do. Thank you
care.
so much. Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
I need you to open the register now. Open the register now. Give me all the money. Move! Give it up. Come on, now, hurry. Get it! Where's the safe? Where's the safe?
Can you detain a robbery suspect? Stop the tape and discuss.
A pre-dawn walk was disrupted this morning when a local man and his dog made a grisly discovery at the edge of the woods. Police were dispatched to the scene and found the remains of a middle-aged white male buried in a shallow grave. The remains were wrapped in a canvas tarp bound by bungee cords. Homicide is suspected, but actual cause of death will be determined by the local coroner. This is Marty Jones, WKIL, reporting from the scene.
Can you detain a murder suspect? Stop the tape and discuss. Can you detain a rape suspect? Stop the tape and discuss.
Temporary code bearing 10-8-1420.
Hi, how you doing today?
Fine.
Officer Gilmore with the Chapel Police Department. Reason I pulled you over is a little swerving.
Oh, yeah.
You got anything to drink today?
No.
None at all?
Nothing.
I smell a pretty strong odor coming from you.
Well, I was, around people who've been drinking.
Really? Okay, well, you got your driver's license on you?
Not with me right now. Somewhere in here, I think.
Somewhere in your vehicle?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay, well, we'll find that in a minute. You mind just stepping out of the car for me real fast? We'll step out here to the front. Is that all right with you?
Okay.
Okay. We'll just step right out here to the front. Just close your door so you get hit by a car. Put your hands on top of your head, interlock your fingers for me, and spread your feet wide as they can go. All right, just stay like that. You don't have any guns, knives, bombs, grenades, or anything like that on you, do you?
No.
Okay. Let me just pat you down real fast, just for my safety. Do the other side. All right, what I want you to do is just place your right hand behind your back and place you under arrest for DWI.
Can you detain for resisting a law enforcement officer? Stop the tape and discuss.
Can I help you, sir?
No, I'm just here waiting on a friend of mine.
Okay. Who's your friend?
Bill.
Bill, what's his last name, sir?
I don't remember his last name. I'm just here waiting on Bill.
Okay. Sir, this is private property, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave, please.
Okay, I'm cool, man. I'll leave.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Can you detain for trespassing? Stop the tape and discuss.
A security officer may assist a law enforcement officer if he is asked to do so. This may be to help with an arrest or prevent an escape from
Hey,
custody.
she's taking off. Hey, arrest her. Turn around right now. You got any weapons on you, sir?
No power of arrest is granted to a security officer unless he is requested to do so by a law enforcement officer. It is imperative that all security officers exemplify professional conduct at all times. You will be held accountable for any negligent conduct or injury to persons and property if it is unjustified. There is no justification for the use of excessive force. When responding to a crime, there are certain steps that should be taken to ensure things are handled properly. First, make a conscious effort to contact law enforcement or 911 as soon as possible.
Yeah, I have a young man here that's been shoplifting at Lane Bryan, location Eastern Mall. Could you please send an officer over here? Thank you.
If you are unable to do so, take necessary action, but be sure to use your best judgment before doing so. You are legally responsible for your actions. You must cooperate with law enforcement at all times. Your detention power ends when law enforcement becomes involved. Be sure to follow the proper protocols previously discussed earlier in the video. You have just learned valuable information regarding your role in assisting law enforcement officers. Next, we'll be talking about the use of force as it pertains to situations you may encounter in your job. Afterwards, you will have the opportunity to discuss all aspects of this topic with a group. Security officers are strongly discouraged from using force. This option should only be considered when your safety or the safety of others is in jeopardy. When detaining an individual, force should not be used unless that person's actions necessitate it. Officers are expected to use reason in determining if force is needed and to what extent. Avoiding confrontation is the best option in handling situations you are faced with on the job. You should remember, a security officer has no more authority than a private citizen. Force is best outlined as a continuum. It shows the levels of force from minimum to maximum. To better understand the use of force continuum, the following levels have been defined. Presence. Oftentimes, the mere presence of a security officer asserts authority and aids in preventing problems. Being in uniform and having good posture reflects positive authority. Verbal. Officers may engage in conversations or give commands to alleviate confrontation.
How you feel now? Your homies done run off and left?
So? What's your point?
Now you up in here by yourself. It's just me and you.
What about him?
Him too.
I ain't worried about neither one of y'all, man.
You ain't got to be worried. The thing is
Just
then
running.
what?
Keep running.
Then what?
Then what?
You want to get up out the chair or what?
No.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, see, you just think you all that because you got some big
Don't worry
arms.
about it. Don't worry about it.
See,
Look, man, don't touch me, man.
You touched me first.
Shut up.
Huh?
The thing is, sir. Exactly.
Sir.
Sir.
Be
Sir.
quiet.
Huh? Keep talking.
You bad, man. 5 years. I don't want you back on the property.
Like I said, I got some shopping tomorrow, bro.
You don't come back.
I bet you gotta sell tomorrow.
Don't come back. Why you still talking?
Because I can.
You want to step outside?
Take the badge off, let's go.
You want to step outside?
No.
Let's just step outside.
I've been out there waiting on you.
Just step outside.
I just came back.
You still sitting here?
You just get on and do what you gotta do over there, bro.
You over there, I'm over here, ain't between us but air.
Go on, bro.
Then what?
Then what? Go on. Go. It's all right. Go. Whatever.
Well, I can't let you into the building, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave until he comes here.
I'm not bothering anybody.
Okay, I understand, but maybe we can walk down here and you can give him a call and he can come and meet you to let you in the building.
Why can't I just wait here? I mean, there's all kinds of people around here.
Because you're on private property, sir. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to step off the property. But if you want to come down here, we can call him. He can let you in the building.
2 types of hand control are noted in the continuum. Soft hand control involves techniques like targeting pressure points, which have a low probability of injury. Hard hand control involves techniques like punches and kicks, which have a high probability of injury. Chemical. This refers to the use of chemicals such as mace, CN, or oleoresin capsicum, OC spray, also known as pepper spray. Use of OC spray requires board-approved training. Impact weapons. Certain weapons like a baton or asp are used to administer force. PPSB does not regulate the use of these weapons. Please refer to your company policy. Deadly force. This is the maximum use of force and is not allowed for detention unless an officer or a third person is confronted with the threat of death. All security officers should have a clear understanding of the 7 levels of force as listed in the continuum. To utilize techniques beyond presence or verbal, it is necessary to receive additional training. In some cases, the company employing you as a security officer may already have policies in place regarding the use of force. All security officers are required to familiarize themselves with the state laws regulating their actions. Remember that force is an alternative option. Being alert and professional during detention may eliminate any need for further action. But in any case, officers need to remember that any detention could be dangerous and should be approached with caution. In this section of the video, you have learned about the use of force continuum. You are now going to see a scenario of a security officer on duty. In this scenario, the officer must decide what action to take, if any. Watch the scenes closely and see if you agree with the actions taken. Then stop the tape and discuss. Keep in mind the minimum and maximum levels of force you've just learned about.
Excuse me, sir. Can I help you with something?
I'm meeting a friend.
Okay, the building's locked up. What's your friend's name? Could you come down here, please?
Steve.
Do you know what suite is in?
I think he's in 140.
Okay, do you have a number you can call him maybe?
Well, yeah, I just talked to him a little while ago. He's going to meet me
Okay.
out here in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I can't let you into the building, so I'm going to have to ask you to leave until he comes here.
I'm not bothering anybody.
Okay, I understand, but maybe we can walk down here and you can give him a call and he can come and meet you to let you in the building.
Why can't I just wait here? I mean, there's all kinds of people around here.
Because you're on private property, sir. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to step off the property. But if you want to come down here, we can call him. He can let you in the building.
I mean, what?
I understand. If you want to just step,
with me?
if you want to just step down here, we can give him a call and he can let you into the building. But I'm going to have to ask you to step off the property, please.
I haven't done anything.
Well, come on, let's walk down here and you can
He's
give
gonna
him
be
a
here
call.
in 2 minutes.
I understand, but we'll meet him down here. If you want to just walk down here, we'll meet him down here off the property.
I don't understand why you're hassling.
Well, we'll give him a call and maybe he can come up and meet us. Excuse me, sir, can I help you?
No, I'm just waiting on somebody.
Okay, can I ask you to step down here, please?
Why?
Okay, who are you waiting for?
A friend of mine, Steve,
Okay, do you know what suite he's in?
612.
Okay, well, the building's locked for the night, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, please.
Why? What did I do?
Because you're on private property, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
I'm waiting on an employee.
Okay,
Friend of mine.
well, you can walk down here and you can wait on him down here, please. I'm going to have to ask you to leave, please, sir.
I didn't do anything.
Well, you can walk down here. I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Why are you messing with me?
Sir, you're on private property. You're going to have to leave.
There are few circumstances in which a security officer will need to conduct a search. Most of the time, law enforcement will handle any search and seizure situations. Under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, individuals and their property are protected. In order for a search to be considered legal, permission must be granted by the person before it can begin. A good understanding of this constitutional right is important as a security officer. There must be sound reason and probable cause to warrant a search. The search is then conducted by law enforcement. Security officers do not have authority to conduct searches. In some cases, though, an employer may ask you to conduct a search, and you can do so only if the search carries no force of law. This means that an employer has a policy that indicates routine searches will be conducted, and all employees should be aware of this policy. Employees are then searched voluntarily, and security officers cannot use force during the search.
Please, if you would, try and put your hands on the desk, please, and kind of step back away from the desk, and kick your feet out a little bit more. All right. Hey man, you remember signing this when you first got a job here? And under company policy it says, you can be searched at any time. You signed it down here. Well, it's time for that search.
If an employee refuses to be searched, then you as a security officer can take certain measures to resolve the situation. First, advise the employee of the policy. Next, let them know that they are violating the policy and that their employer will be made aware of the situation. And lastly, if the employee still refuses, you must allow them to leave. Security officers do not have the authority to detain an employee against their will. You must know the law with regards to search and seizure and use your best judgment in all situations. Always notify your employer of any concerns you have regarding employee searches in order to avoid liability on your part. Now stop the tape and discuss the legal issues you are faced with in dealing with search and seizure. You should be able to determine when you have the authority to conduct a search and the proper procedure for doing so. During this segment of the video, you have learned the legal terminology for the types of crimes that you may encounter while you're on duty. You have gained a working knowledge of what detention is and how it applies in different situations. You have also heard about the use of force continuum, and more importantly, about using judgment and reason in every aspect of your job. As a security officer, you are faced with the challenge of abiding by the law while never being considered above it. You must have clear insight into your rights as an officer and the rights of the citizens that you are serving. By adhering to the policies and regulations required in your job, practicing sound judgment and reason every day, you will be a positive asset in the workforce.